On the 1st of May, 1970, every bank in Ireland locked its doors. Not for a day, not for a week, for 6.5 months. No withdrawals, no transfers, nothing clearing. Between them, those banks held nearly all of the money in the country. So the economy should have stopped. It didn't. Shops opened, wages got paid, factories ran. A survey afterwards couldn't find one firm that stopped production over it. The economy kept growing the whole way through. What people did instead was write cheques to each other, knowing perfectly well that nobody could cash them. By November, there were £5 billion of them sitting in tills and drawers and coat pockets, close to 3 times everything the country produced in a year. Uncashable, unclearable, but accepted anyway. Money is not the thing you think it is. It never has been. Give me 12 minutes and you will never look at the number in your banking app the same way. Start with the story you are told about where money came from. First there was barter. You had a cow, I had grain, we traded. Clumsy though. What if I don't want your cow? So somebody clever invented money to fix it. Every textbook opens with a version of that. There is no evidence for it anywhere. People have spent over a century looking for that society, the one running on pure barter, before money. Nobody has ever found one. Not a village, not a tribe, not one documented case. What turns up instead, everywhere, is people keeping track. You take the grain now. I remember, you owe me. Money didn't start as a thing you hand over. It started as something somebody wrote down. Southern Iraq, 5,000 years ago. A city called Uruk. Before the writing there were tokens, little clay shapes. A cone was a small measure of barley. A sphere was a bigger one. People had been counting with those for thousands of years already. When you owed somebody, the tokens were sealed inside a ball of clay, so nobody could swap them. Which created an obvious problem. You couldn't check what was inside without smashing it open. So somebody started pressing the tokens into the outside first, a picture of what was in there. And then somebody noticed something. You don't need what's inside at all. Throw the tokens away, flatten the ball, keep the marks. That's writing. That is where writing comes from. The first thing human beings ever wrote down wasn't a poem or a prayer or a law. It was how much barley somebody owed. Thousands of them survive. Barley, beer, sheep. Who has it? Who's owed it? Who's short? They had a unit for it, the shekel, a weight of silver pinned to something you could eat. And almost none of that silver ever moved. It sat in a temple. Debts were counted in it and settled without it leaving the room. The silver was the ruler. The tablet was the money. Coins would not exist for another 2,000 years. When coins finally arrive, it's in a kingdom called Lydia, in what's now Western Turkey. Lumps of a gold and silver alloy, stamped by the state so nobody had to weigh them. Look at what a coin actually is, though. The metal is worth something. The mark is worth more. Because the mark is a signature. It says whoever put it there will take it back off you, which is the same promise that was on the clay, just small enough to carry in a hand. Now jump to England around the year 1100 and the strangest money any government has ever run on. The English Treasury recorded what it was owed on sticks, hazel or willow, squared off, about the length of your forearm. Notches cut across it for the amount. A cut as wide as your palm meant £1,000. Then they split the stick down its length, one half longer than the other. The Treasury kept the short piece. You took the long one home. And the grain in a split twig is unique. The only way to prove yours was real was to hold it against theirs and watch it match. An unforgeable receipt, made of a stick. Then it gets interesting. If the crown owes you and you're holding the proof, you can sell the proof. So the sticks circulated, bought and sold. Government debt changing hands, made of wood. The long half you took home had a name. It was called the stock, which is where the word comes from. Stockholder, stock market, all of it, from the long half of a split twig. England ran on these for 700 years. Parliament abolished the system in 1782, then carried on cutting sticks anyway, because nobody had built the replacement. 44 more years of notched wood. The last one was cut in 1826, which left centuries of them under Parliament, and no reason to keep a single one. On the 16th of October, 1834, 2 cartloads went into the furnaces under the House of Lords. Staff noticed the heat that afternoon. Nobody put it out. The furnace set fire to the panelling set fire to the Lords set fire to the Commons. By morning, the Palace of Westminster was gone. 700 years of English money burned down the English Parliament. 140 years before that fire, something happened a mile downriver that mattered more. England had lost a fleet to France, needed a new navy, and had no money to build one. The king's credit was so poor, he'd been borrowing at 14%. So a group of investors made an offer. They would lend the government £1.2 million at 8%. In return, they wanted something no private company had been allowed. They wanted to be a bank. It was fully subscribed in under 2 weeks. That bank is the Bank of England. And here's the part nobody mentions. The loan was never repaid. Not late, not defaulted. It was never meant to be. The debt just sat there permanently, and the bank printed paper against it. The government owed the bank. The bank owed whoever held the paper. And the paper was the money. Take a British banknote out of a wallet today and it still says it. I promise to pay the bearer on demand. A promise. Printed on the money. Nobody reads it. Which brings me to an island in the Pacific and the clearest demonstration of what money is that anybody has managed. Yap. 400 kilometers east of Palau. The money on Yap is stone. Discs of limestone with a hole in the middle. Some are the size of a coin. The biggest is 12 feet across and weighs 4 tons. There is no limestone on Yap. Every one of those stones was cut 400 kilometers away and brought home across open ocean. Which is the point. The value is the voyage, and the big ones are impossible to move, so mostly they don't. A stone changes owner and stays exactly where it is. Everybody simply knows it's yours now. Then there's the one at the bottom of the sea. A crew was bringing a huge one home when a storm hit and it went over the side into deep water. The men got back and told everyone, and everyone agreed the stone was fine. It was just underwater. The family that paid for it stayed wealthy. For generations. On a stone nobody has seen since. And it kept being traded. Quick thing before the rest, because I want to know where you land on this. A stone at the bottom of the ocean that nobody has seen in 100 years. Is that money? I'd have said no. By the end of this, I couldn't explain the difference between that and the number in my account. Tell me in the comments. Because Yap has one more thing to say about it. In 1898, Germany took the islands over and told the chiefs to repair the footpaths. The paths were in a state. Nothing happened. Fines didn't work. so an official was sent round with a pot of black paint. He marked a cross on the most valuable stone in each district. He didn't move them. He didn't guard them. He painted a cross and said they belonged to the government now. The paths were repaired immediately. Then he went back round and rubbed the crosses off, and everybody was rich again. Nothing about the stones changed, only what everybody agreed about them. Ask most people where money comes from and they'll say the government prints it. Notes and coins are about 3% of the money in Britain. The other 97% has never been printed. It exists as numbers in bank accounts. So where do those numbers come from? Banks, and not the way you were told. The story is that a bank collects money from savers and lends it out to borrowers. A middleman. That is not what happens. And the bank that started all of this says so out loud. When a bank gives you a mortgage, it doesn't go and find the money. It types the number into your account. That's the whole act. The money didn't exist a second earlier. Making the loan is what made it. 97% of the money in the country arrived that way, typed into being by somebody approving a loan. And it vanishes the same way. Every repayment you make deletes money. There's one more layer and it came off in living memory. Until 1971, dollars were tied to gold at a fixed rate. Foreign governments could hand the paper in and walk out with metal. On the 15th of August 1971, Richard Nixon went on television and closed that window. It was announced as temporary. That was 55 years ago. There is no metal under any of it, and there hasn't been for a lifetime. So what is it? Every version is the same thing wearing different clothes. A tablet in Uruk, a stick in London, a stone on a path in Yap, a number in an app. None of them are wealth. All of them are records. Money is a memory. It's how a society remembers who did something for somebody else and hasn't been paid back yet. The material is whatever's lying around and hard to fake. Clay, wood, limestone, paper. Now, nothing at all. Which is why Ireland didn't collapse. The money didn't disappear when the banks shut. The record did. So people rebuilt the record out of the only material they had left. Pubs and corner shops. People who'd known their customers for 20 years and knew exactly who was good for it. That isn't a quaint detail. That's a working credit system, assembled in about a week. When the doors opened in November, £5 billion of paper got sorted out. And the bad debts never came close to what everyone had braced for. The banks had been holding the money. The country had been holding the memory. It turns out the memory was the money the whole time. You've got some right now, not in your pocket, in a database as a number backed by a promise, in a system that only works because everybody has agreed to keep remembering. It isn't a thing you own. It's a thing everybody else agrees to owe you.